This episode today is for all you perpetual learners out there that struggle to put the information that you're learning into practice and really truly embody the stuff that you're taking in. I was listening to a podcast during the week and the question came up that I want to discuss today. That question was asking whether it's possible to both know how to do something and yet still not know how to do something. And I thought it was a really interesting question that really got me thinking. And today I want to share my take. I've also been testing out a brand new giveaway that I am just in the early stages of putting together. What would it be like to get a few extra hours available to yourself every day? Now, I know we can't actually create more time, but I've been putting together a brand new audit or time audit that can help us identify the time that we're wasting and the time that we're allocating to things that just aren't serving us, and reallocating that time to things that are much more meaningful and things that are going to actually move the needle forward. If this sounds interesting, I put together a quick Google Doc with a video that shows you how I use this process. If it sounds interesting, just let me know and I'll shoot it through. Absolutely no strings attached. Hello and welcome back to the From Zero to Marketing Hero podcast. My name's Paul Heron. I'm a life coach that's been building a successful one-on-one coaching business over the last 5 years. During this time, I've worked with many of my clients to build healthy habits that get them improving every single day. Together, we've set up simple, dependable routines that boost their success and fulfillment, both at work and at home. But without any further ado, let's get into today's episode where I want to answer this question or give my take on this question on whether it's possible to both know how to do something and yet still not know how to do something. The reason I think this is so interesting is because when this question comes up of figuring out how to do something, for most of us, it comes back to information. It comes back to studying. It comes back to doing courses, reading books. However we want to take this information in, it comes back to how are we going to find out how to do the thing. I think this is a really interesting thing to think through because just because we become aware of the steps that might be involved or the actions that need to be taken, it's a very different experience, in my opinion, to actually knowing how something works and actually knowing how to actually follow through and do the thing and how it's going to work specifically for you. And I want to start by sharing a quick example that pretty much sums this up for me. Over my shoulder, you can probably see my guitar sitting there. During COVID, I had much more time on my hands and I decided I wanted to learn a new skill. And for the last 4 years, I've been picking the guitar up and 20, 30 minutes every single day have been tinkering away, trying to improve my skill. Now, had I gone to school, had I studied music, had I just gone straight to the books and actually figured out every single nuance, took in all the information, was able to regurgitate that information back and answer all the tests and everything that comes along with that, I would be able to answer this question in a different way to what I can actually answer this question on right now. So the question of, is it possible to know how to do something? If I did the study without picking up the guitar, I would know far more than I know now about music in general, about the history, about the instrument itself, how it's made, every single thing. I would know the theory involved in playing, but I would not know anything at all about how it actually feels to play the guitar unless I've spent hours and hours and hours and hours on the instrument, playing it, messing around and figuring out for myself how this information is applied and how I get this thing to work for me and what my style is and all this type of stuff. It's just like chalk and cheese, in my opinion. Now, what's more beneficial? That's the $1 million question, I guess. For some of us, taking in this information and learning everything there is to know has a place, particularly when we're going through education systems, when we're studying to become professional doctors and dentists and all the professions that really need us to understand this information, absolutely, there's a place for this. But I think in my situation right now, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a marketer, for me, I don't really need to know the detail. I don't need to know all the information. For me, this is all about applying the things that I am hearing, the things that are coming into my attention, the information that I'm coming across that I think, oh, that's something that I might want to try. For me, it is all about actually taking that information and doing something with it, taking action, deciding that, hey, yes, this is the next thing I'm going to try, and implementing it into my plan, which is kind of what I'm doing. If you've been following along, that's exactly what I've been doing. It's about determining a strategy that I'm going to run with over the next little while, looking at the individual tactics. For example, creating video, trying to get 25% views. That's something I've spoken about before. Retargeting those views with reels and creating value bomb type offers to give away to try and start conversations. There's a strategy there. But for me, it is really all about taking action. It's all about figuring out how this information can be worked into my own personal individual recipe for success. Some will work, some will not land, but the only way I'm going to figure this stuff out is through taking action. So I guess the big takeaway for me is that information is not the same as knowing. There is no amount of information that I can take in that, whether it be the guitar, whether it be my marketing, whether it be anything really, ultimately even the brain surgeon needs to take the information they're learning and really figure out the intricacies of applying the information in real life, taking the action. I'm not sure what that process looks like to get to that place, but I'm assuming it's a gradual process of taking the information and applying it. I think it's the same everywhere. So the last thing I want to talk to today is the idea that, or trying to get to the bottom of what's going on when we think we need more information. Our bodies resist us taking action that's new to us. We've all been in that situation where we're turning up to something for the first time. We're doing something that's brand new. Maybe it's the first time we hit record on a Facebook Live session. Whatever it is, there is an element of resistance. Our body is going to resist doing new things. I think there's a tendency for us to believe, and maybe falsely, that if we can learn more about the process, learn more about how it's going to work, then we will increase our level of certainty about how we're going to be able to show up and do the thing. And I think this is a false belief that holds us back in many ways. And I think this is the thing that, this is the thing I found most interesting when I heard this question being spoken about on the podcast. I think it is possible to know all the stuff related to the thing. It is possible to take in all the information relevant to the particular thing we're wanting to do. There is no limit to the information we can take in. There really is no limit to the information we can take in. However, there is no way we can actually become the master of the thing without doing the thing, and doing the thing over and over and over again, and building a practice and a habit around doing the thing. So our body's going to resist. So I think it is bringing that to the surface, bringing that to our awareness, and just knowing that there's going to be a resistance. By definition, stepping out of our comfort zone is not going to be comfortable. There is going to be an element of uncertainty and discomfort with anything that we're doing new. And we want to keep pushing that boundary. We often hear with public speaking, for example, that the more we do the thing, the easier it will become, and the more within our comfort zone it becomes. And absolutely, I love working with people on that line of thinking. But the other thing to keep in mind is, as we grow, we want to be pushing ourselves even further. In the public speaking example, that might look like moving from a small group to a bigger audience. It might mean doing some improv stuff where we're not fully certain on the things that we're going to be delivering and saying. I just think it's a really interesting thing for us to be thinking about. So I might leave it there. I hope this has got you thinking as much as that question has got me thinking during the week. My takeaways from this conversation, and even just talking this out loud now, are just be cautious. Just be mindful of the learning that you're doing and the information that you're taking in, and making sure that there is a pathway between, or a process of you taking the information that you're taking in and applying it in real life, taking the action, because ultimately that's what it's all about. Action is the only thing that's going to lead to the growth that we're looking for. So information is essential. We don't want to be reinventing the wheel, but we want to be able to ensure that we're not just in this state of waiting to be ready and falsely believing that we need to be learning more before we're ready. I think for most of us probably err on that side of thinking we need to learn more. I think there's a big opportunity to flip that around and proactively and consciously decide, no, I've got something here that I want to try, and just jumping in and doing the thing. Because ultimately, what have we got to lose? It doesn't work out, doesn't go to plan, and we take valuable lessons from the actions that we take. So I will leave it there. I feel like I could keep talking on this. I'd love to know your thoughts and feedback. Please reach out, start a conversation. The best place to reach me and to find me is through my website. It's paulheronlifecoaching.com. There's a number of ways you can make contact there, but feel free, reach out, start a conversation, let me know what you think. If my little giveaway that I spoke about at the start of this episode makes sense, if you would like to gain back 3 hours of time every single day, reach out and let me know, because I've put together a framework or an audit system that can really help us identify where we're wasting our time. And once we can see it, then we can decide to cut it out. And if we can gain that time back and reallocate it to activities that are going to actually move the needle forward, it really is like creating time, which feels impossible. So if this sounds interesting, just let me know. It's a completely free gift. Just let me know where to send it and I'll shoot it through. Finally, if you are enjoying the show, hitting subscribe is something that really helps grow the audience and share the show with a wider audience. So if you don't mind hitting that pause button, hitting subscribe, I would be forever in your debt. And until tomorrow, have a fantastic day. Bye for now.